I'm one of the younger comedians tonight. Some of you might know millennials more like a piece of shit. We get that a lot. But I mean, maybe hear me out here, because I'm here to tell you how millennials actually have it pretty rough. We get a pretty bad rap, but I think that it's actually today, being a young adult, it's the hardest time for a person to live, to go through life. And you might be disagreeing with me. That's everyone's first knee-jerk reaction, but hear me out. I'll help you understand. Imagine how hard it is to get anything done when you're waking up at 3 p.m. every day. It's a nightmare. Some days I wake up, it's so late in the day that it's too late to do anything productive. I just gotta stay in bed, try again tomorrow. I mean, if I can go back to sleep, that's always a plus, but sometimes just lost in my thoughts about how everything's so hard these days, how cruel it can be. Like, just the other day, I was laying in bed for hours and hours and hours just thinking, fuck, my life is hard, man. So I went to college. You know, I wasn't, one thing millennials don't have to worry about is no federal government's drafting any wars, but my familial government drafted me into student loans. I don't have PTSD, I have PTFD, post-traumatic financial disorder. Going through that a little bit right now. I was given 3 options: go to math school, go to art school. Figured I went to art school because I was already a fucking weirdo, and so I figured I'd thrive there, and I did. I did all right. Thank you. You know, you don't really learn much about living life and being an adult in art school. Like, you don't really grow up much. You know, like business and taxes and shit, like money. You don't learn that. I kind of had to learn everything by fucking up a lot, and boy, did I. You know, I'm a pretty smart guy, I like to think right now. Spent 4 years playing charades with some of my best friends in the whole world. But then one day it was all over. I was out in the real world, and I'm like, shit. Wasn't I supposed to learn something there? So I mean, now I'm out doing my thing, but I'm still kind of like a big old child in a big old body. For example, I'm living by myself in New York City these days, but I still have a hard time dressing myself and figuring out what to wear. Last time I bought a shirt, I can't even remember. Like, what I'm wearing right now, this was like a gift for my birthday in high school, but it's still intact. Still does the job. You know, it's got walruses on it. That's pretty funny. Just gotta look at my shirt. Would do some of the work tonight for me. But sorry, I got words just in case. My clothes, they last a long time because I don't really get a lot of wearage out of them. And that's because another problem is I'm not the best at laundry, so I try to make them last. Shirt and a pair of pants. That usually goes a week. A pair of pants, maybe a week, maybe like a whole month if I play it right. It's a clean month. I don't really separate the laundry. Likewise, I have one bowl for everything. You might be thinking, like, how do you eat everything out of a bowl? Actually, not that much of a problem. The only thing I know how to really cook is cereal and milk. So that works out too. I like my ways. Don't really clean the bathroom ever. The only time I ever clean the bathroom is when there's been a shit stain in the toilet bowl for too long. And the only thing I really do for that is I just focus my piss stream on that for a couple days. It usually gets the job done. You know, I think the world is going to end though with my generation, the millennials. And it's not from global warming. It's not going to be from aliens or Disney. I think it's going to be because we millennials, we're not really trained to be adults out in the world. You know, we don't really know what the fuck we're doing. We don't have the money to have a family. We learn by fucking up, and that's not enough all the time. You know, I might stand a chance of reproducing if I move back in with my mom and stop brunching every week. But I don't know. Those things just seem a little too hard to. There's something that seems a little off about those options. But I did have to learn, my latest lesson I had to learn was the doctors, how to make a doctor work. Because, you know, I'm still a baby brain inside my big old man body. And I didn't really know how to work a doctor before. I didn't really know what health insurance actually was. So I had to figure that out because I woke up one morning and my balls hurt. And, you know, it felt like they were twisted. For those of you who don't know or don't own a right testicle, when your balls are twisted, it hurts a lot. But usually a quick flick and a jiggle you're good to go. They'll find their way. I did that for a bit though, and it didn't work. And it was time for work, so I had to go to work. And I just toughed it out the whole day. Right, my balls are hurting. I'm at work all day, and you know, that's how I usually handle things when I'm ill or feeling under the weather. Because doctors, I don't know how they work. They're fucking expensive. I know that. So I'll just heal through sheer will, and that usually happens. That usually works out. But you know, I woke up the next morning and hurt even more, and my right testicle was pretty swollen. So I'm like, these are my balls, man. I better not take any risks. So you know, I didn't. I went straight to Google, and I looked up, "Help, my balls are twisted." And it said likely it was a testicular torsion. That's science for twisted balls. And it wasn't looking too hot for my balls. It's not something I ever say. So I went to the doctor. Oh yeah, it wasn't looking hot because it said I had 6 hours. 6 hours of testicular torsion, and I'm going to have to lop a nut off. And you know, I crunched the numbers, and I crunched them again a couple times to make sure I was right. It's been more than that at this point. It's been a whole day. So I say, you know, I'm going to leave it to a professional. Go to the doctor, he confirms what Google says. And yeah, 6 hours before I have to lose a nut. So I'm like, oh shit. So I started the timer right then, because I didn't know the 6 hour thing before. I figured it wasn't fair. Start the 6 hour now. And then he sent me off to the hospital. I figured an ambulance ride was appropriate, but he didn't give me that. You know, I'm no doctor, so I didn't question his ways. But yeah, so I cowboy hobbled 10 blocks into New York to the hospital. Thought I'd get some sort of priority over the visitors. And, you know, nope, I had to wait in security, get my bags checked. I'm like, I have one bag that needs to get checked over here. I think you're not the right personnel here. I think I'm trying to get upstairs somewhere. Eventually, went through the waiting room. I had to piss in a cup. They checked me, like, all that stuff. They, like, got a UV thing, scanned my balls. It was a long day. They lost the first cup full of piss, and I had to do it again. And that's not easy to do, because I did a really good job the first time. I filled the cup. It was overflowing the first time. It was empty. The lady came in with, like, 4 cups of apple juice, and I'm like, this can't be good. So anyways, I pissed in the other cup. Long day in the hospital. Really started getting worried about that 6 hour mark thing after the 8th hour being in that hospital. But thankfully, I eventually found out that I wasn't going to lose a nut. You know, I didn't have twisted balls. It was only chlamydia. Thank God for that. That's my set, everybody. I'm a quick one. Thank you very much.